Alright, let's talk about something that's been flying under the radar but could seriously change how we interact with our smartwatches. Google's Gemini is getting a fresh new look on Wear OS, and personally, I think this is a bigger deal than most people realize. Here's why. It's not just a visual tweak, it's a strategic move to make Gemini feel more like a unified, cross-device assistant. And that's fascinating because, let's be honest, smartwatch assistants have always felt like an afterthought. But this update? It's like Google's finally saying, hey, Wear OS deserves the same level of polish as your phone. So, what's changing? Instead of launching the full Gemini app when you activate it, you now get this sleek overlay that sits right on top of your watch face. Sounds simple, right? But here's the kicker. It's designed to mirror the Neural Expressive style we've seen on Android phones. That consistency is huge. If you take a step back and think about it, Google's basically trying to create a seamless experience no matter which device you're using. And that's smart, because let's face it, nobody wants to feel like they're switching between two completely different systems. Now, here's a detail I find fascinating. The overlay includes a transcript of your prompt and action confirmations. That's not just a UI change, it's about building trust. What many people don't realize is that transparency in AI interactions is still a big pain point for users. By showing you exactly what's happening, Google's addressing that head-on. It's a small touch, but it raises a deeper question. How much does visibility into AI processes actually matter for user adoption? Another thing that immediately stands out is the relocation of the microphone privacy indicator from the bottom to the top of the screen. In my opinion, that's a subtle but important usability tweak. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about making sure users can quickly see when their MIC is active. Privacy indicators are often overlooked, but they're critical in an era where people are hyper-aware of data collection. This move feels like Google's way of saying, we hear you. What makes this really interesting is the timing. This redesign was first previewed in May on the Samsung Galaxy Watch 9, and now it's rolling out more widely with version 1.36. But here's the catch. The new look has a server-side component that's not fully available yet. That's classic Google, rolling out updates in phases, keeping us on our toes. But it also suggests they're still fine-tuning things behind the scenes. What this really suggests is that Google's taking its time to get this right, which is a good sign for Wear OS users who've been waiting for more attention to the platform. Now, let's zoom out for a second. This update isn't happening in a vacuum. Gemini's been making waves across platforms, mobile apps, desktop apps, even macOS with voice control and transcription. From my perspective, this Wear OS redesign is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Google's clearly doubling down on Gemini as its AI powerhouse, and Wear OS is getting a seat at the table. But here's the question. Is this enough to make Wear OS a serious contender in the smartwatch space? Personally, I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's going to take more than a UI refresh to win over users. One thing that's missing from this update, and I find this curious, is any mention of changes to Gemini's responses. The focus here is purely on design. What many people don't realize is that the real value of an AI assistant lies in its intelligence, not just its looks. So while this redesign is great, I'm left wondering, when are we going to see meaningful improvements to Gemini's capabilities on Wear OS? Task automation is nice, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Closing thought, this update feels like Google's way of saying, Wear OS isn't forgotten. But it also raises a bigger question. In a world where smartwatches are still searching for their killer app, is a polished AI assistant enough to make a difference? I don't have the answer, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on how this plays out. What do you think? Is this the kind of update that makes you want to give Wear OS another chance? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear your take.